From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and co-host of Dorking Out, live from Brooklyn. It's Margo D. And in this episode, we're dorking out about 2005 or 2004's, depending on which website you read, Crash. I guess this is our this is like our Oscar themed edition because the Oscars are coming up really soon, and we decided to talk about what probably our least favorite Best Picture winner in a really long time.
It's astonishing how bad this movie is, by the way. I mean, because I didn't see it in the movie theater at the time. I
did.
saw. Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. I saw everything. I saw this one with my mom. This is another one I saw with my mom. I was an adult by then, by the way. Just, it's not like, oh, my mom just took me. We went to the movies together, and it's one of those movies where I walk out and I'm like, well, that was something. And she's like, I loved it.
So did Roger Ebert. We'll read a little bit of his review soon.
Yeah, it's...
Oy,
okay, so for people who don't know what Crash is, and you're so lucky, it's written and directed by Paul Haggis, I want to say...
Haggis.
Yeah, who had won the Oscar the year before for $1 Million Baby. That's a really good movie. And this one stars Sandra Bullock, Don Cheadle, Matt Dillon, Brendan Fraser, Thandie Newton. This is a big cast. Michael Pena, Terrence Howard, Ludacris, Ryan Phillippe, Larenz Tate, Jennifer Esposito, Lorette, Devine, and Tony Danza. Let's not forget Tony Danza was in this movie. I don't remember if his character's name is Tony, but it probably is.
It should have been. Fred. I just looked it up. His name is Fred.
Oh, well, there you go. So this was a real stretch for him. I can't believe he didn't win the Oscar. And so the big deal about this movie, in case you don't know, is it won Best Picture, and it was kind of an upset. It was nominated. I think Brokeback Mountain was the favorite, and is definitely the movie that we all still talk about now. But for some reason, Crash won. It beat Brokeback Mountain, Capote, Good Night and Good Luck, which is a really great movie too, and Munich, also a really great movie. So, kind of inspired by Green Book, we decided maybe it's time to talk about Crash. But you didn't see this one in the theater, so did you rent it when it came out on video and after it had already won, or?
I'm certain I rented it. I had no interest in seeing it in the movie theater. I didn't even know what it was. And at that time, actually, I would go to the theater to see movies because they weren't going to be available until after the Oscars, right? And I always wanted to see the Best Picture.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can see it, by the way. The Best Picture is usually streaming, a few weeks out.
It's ridiculous how fast movies come out on streaming now. It's awesome. I don't mean it in a bad way. It's a good thing because then I can watch them. But back in the day, it was a year at least until they were available for rent.
No, and you felt like the obligation, if you like movies and you like the Academy Awards, I should go and see this thing. I don't know what it was about it, but I just had no interest in it whatsoever. And I can't remember my first reaction to it. I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. I just know when my co-host for Book versus Movie, Margo P., we covered Brokeback Mountain last year. And we the short story is beautiful. The movie is just amazing
and heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking and all the emotions, and it's so sad. And so we looked into, at the time, well, what did win and was it controversial?
Right.
And holy shitballs, you go down the Crash rabbit hole, and the angriest diatribes exist there.
Yes.
And there's not one person defending it all these years later.
No.
The people who liked it then, some are dead. But,
yeah.
But we'll go on. Yeah.
It's one of those movies that people hold up as an example of that the Oscars are out of touch, right?
Yes.
And I think we're getting to that again this year with Green Book that could win Best Picture. And it's also another one that like deals with racism in a really like safe, way that's, I don't know, not thought provoking and not, I guess, realistic.
No.
I mean, I haven't seen Green Book because I learned my lesson from Crash. I don't want to see that.
No, I'll see that shit when it's on, I'm not going to pay even to stream it.
Yeah.
When it's on HBO or whatever it
Right.
winds up, I'll watch it then. But I'm not even going to, or, Bohemian Rhapsody, like, I'm not going to pay for that. I'll see it when it's streaming, but I'm not going to pay $12.99 or whatever they want right now, because as many people that enjoy it, so many people tell me it's just a basic music biography that totally plays down the fact that he's gay and kind of makes the fact that, he might be gay, the thing that is his downfall, which who wants that story?
Yeah, pass. A friend of mine who's gay told me, he's like, he kind of gave it the thumbs down. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it on HBO someday then.
Right.
And it's, not to dismiss, like, people super love it. I get it. And like his performance is probably really great, but
and I love Queen's music.
Yeah, me too.
Really love Queen's music. And like once a year or twice a year, I go to YouTube and I look up that Live Aid concert. Oh, it's amazing.
I'd much rather watch that.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fix.
Yeah, that works. But we're going to talk about Crash. Look at us putting it off.
Oh, still. Oh my God.
So this movie, is about like all these different, it's kind of like a Shortcuts, that movie Shortcuts with Robert Altman. It's all these different stories that then become kind of connected by the end. And they're all in LA. And when I was watching it, I was thinking that they could make the stage musical of this and they would call it Everyone is Racist. Like exclamation point, and I kept like singing. I was like, everyone is racist. Everyone's as bad as you think they can be. Like,
it's like Team America.
Yeah.
When they go, everybody has AIDS. Like, everyone's racist. Not one person, except for Michael Pena, I think, and his kid, and his wife. They're the only
ones.
Only ones. And they are superhuman nice to total shitheads.
Yes.
Everyone's a shithead.
Yes. It is a terrible movie. It's like, and it's got this huge cast. And I was like, oh my God, it's like one of those Gary Marshall movies, but it's about racism.
And it's filled with people I like.
Yes.
I want to see Sandra Bullock, Don Cheadle, Thandie Newton, Ludacris. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Larenz Tate. I like. There's people here. Daniel Day Kim is in here. There's people in here I genuinely like. Keith David.
Yes.
I really like them, and I want to see them in an independent movie made for $6 million, filmed in 30 days at the screenwriter and director's house because you couldn't afford anything else. That sounds great to me.
Yes.
Why was it this big piece of shit?
I know, it's so awful. This movie lost me literally in the first like 2 minutes when so it opens with like a voiceover and it's Don Cheadle and he says, in LA nobody touches you, we're always behind this metal and glass, and I think we miss that touch so much that we crash, movie title, we crash into each other just so we can feel something. I'm like, ugh, gross.
Barf. Barf.
So stupid. It blows my mind that this won the Oscar for Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. I'm like, what's original about this shit?
He's basically saying racism's, it's like what I like. I really hate movies that have white saviors.
Yes.
Explaining racism.
Not me. I love those movies. I think they're great.
I have friends who do that I like, but I'm just like, how do you not see that this is a white boy mansplaining, white-splaining racism to every single person around him? It's usually just one other race, by the way.
Yes.
Kudos to him for mixing all the races in this shit, I guess.
Very diverse, shitty movie.
Oh my God. There's like, are they Iranian or Persian? There's
Persian.
a family. They're Persian. They're assholes. You know,
Yes.
I mean, the maid is a nice person, but like Sandra Bullock is an asshole. Her husband, Brendan Fraser, is the DA. We think he's a nice guy, but deep down, he's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
Don Cheadle, he's having sex with Jennifer Esposito, who has to do this gratuitous sex scene for whatever reason. But she's an asshole too, because she says she describes an Asian person with that horrible CH word. I mean,
it's because everyone is
awful.
racist.
And what is your point in that exactly? Like, it's just a white guy go, don't you realize we're all doing it to each other?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And it's like, no, it's actually kind of white institutionalized racism that is the problem, and people like you.
So then throughout the movie, these people kind of they crash into each other, Margo. It's why the movie's called Crash.
What?
In case you didn't know. Original screenplay, you guys. And so they intersect, these stories intersect, and people start to realize that they're racist or something. And the only thing that like gets them to realize that they're racist is by like basically saving each other's lives or things like, and I was like, well, that's it, you guys. If as a white person, if I could go out and find someone who's racist against white people and save their life, and we all did that stuff, we could cure racism, you guys. We could do it. That's all it takes. You just have to save someone's life.
But, good God. So Matt Dillon, who I like very much as an actor. Not huge amount of range, but I like him when he's doing stuff. I usually like Matt Dillon.
Me too.
But he plays this cop who pulls over an African-American couple, and the wife, and he doesn't know that they're married, but he just sees an African-American. It's a darker-skinned man with a lighter-skinned black woman.
Yes.
And he and Ryan Phillippe, who's the innocent white boy, what?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to doubt that these things exist, by the way.
Yeah.
Of course.
What we know about the LAPD, of course we know that these things exist. Or any
PD, really.
Right.
Yeah. They're all, yeah. So Matt Dillon pulls them over, sexually assaults the wife in front of her husband, and then that couple goes home, and they're having there's all these feelings and an argument between them, and of course there would be. I mean, you watch somebody helplessly next to you being accosted that way.
Yeah.
It's going to bring up some shit for you, especially when race is involved and sexism is involved, and you feel their story I get. What I don't get,
I actually felt like, oh, there's a whole other movie right there.
Their movie I want to see. Yeah. And he's a director, and he's playing a director like people will. He's Terrence, by the way, Terrence Howard.
Yes.
He directs TV shows and stuff, and people tell him, "Oh, your dialogue isn't black enough," and he's looking at them like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's, like I said, married to a very thin, light-skinned African-American woman. That woman, Thandie Newton, gets into a car wreck, and not in any car wreck, but she's flipped over in this car that's going to blow up.
Very serious car accident.
And the one person who could save her is Matt Dillon, the guy that tried to rape her in front of her husband a couple of weeks before.
Yes.
And in that moment, we're meant to think, oh, Matt Dillon isn't horrible. We're not supposed to, first of all, supposed to feel sorry for him because he's taking care of his elderly father.
Yeah. I wrote that in my notes, that he's a horrible racist. He sexually assaults her in front of her husband. Yeah. And then the movie wants us to have sympathy for him because he's taking care of his sick father. And I'm like, oh, okay. And
what?
But, like, guess what? We all have shit
with that.
You guys, he's sorry he's racist. It's just, he has shit on his mind.
He's a caregiver. We should all just feel sorry for him. And any woman or person of color who had that storyline would never be given any kind of latitude. It would just be like, well, yeah, okay, you have your shit to deal with, and it sucks, but that's your father, and you do the best you can. You're going to have good days and bad days. We're meant to be like, this poor man.
We all have shit to deal with. It doesn't give us the right to be racist pieces of shit.
It does not. And I am so disappointed. I told you, Roger Ebert sometimes really got shit wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved his writing, and I loved following on Twitter. I miss him on Twitter so much. And I loved Siskel and Ebert. That was my favorite. But I told you, I found this. He did this review. It was Matt Dillon, and he rescues this woman. And he says, then the plot, ironically, turns on itself. And both of the cops find themselves in very different ways, saving the lives of the very same TV director and his wife. Is this just manipulative storytelling? It didn't feel that way to me, because it serves a deeper purpose than mere irony. Haggis is telling parables in which the characters learn the lessons they have earned by their behavior. And I'm like, fuck you, all of you. And that sentence and that paragraph.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot of that. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes and read the reviews, there's a lot.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like, oh, everyone hated this movie and it won the best picture. Like, it definitely had its fans, but
Oprah, by the way.
yeah, it was tone deaf as fuck back then, and it's really tone deaf now. It's even worse now. It's a weird history. So it was released in the Toronto Film Festival, released as an independent kind of production. Paul Haggis won the Oscar the year before. Oh, he's famous, by the way, because he was a Scientologist for a couple of decades. And then he quit, and he wrote this big essay in the New Yorker. And good on him for that. Yeah.
And exposing that bullshit.
And he participated in that documentary. Was it like 2 years ago? The one that was on HBO?
Going Clear, and he was on Leah Remini's show too.
Yeah. So that's good.
So he's
written other stuff that's really good. It's just not this.
Yeah. Just not this one. This one film the way he won this he got the best picture for. And he admitted later, I shouldn't have won that. I don't know why I won it. But it's a strange history because he releases it in 2004, and then he goes to the Toronto Film Festival, and it gets picked up, but it didn't have a run date in Los Angeles. And film your film, screen it at the time anyway. Let's just say that at the time you had to screen it in New York and Los Angeles to a paying audience, and then you could put it in for Best Picture. And he hadn't done that. So months later, it starts to pick up word of mouth. And then people like I said, Oprah had a whole show about Crash. Like some people, I'm not kidding you. She got some shit wrong too, by the way. She's not perfect either.
Sure.
But anyway, it got this word of mouth. And for some reason, people were like, I can't vote for Brokeback Mountain. I don't want to admit my homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And what were the other, like Capote? That's another, maybe that could be homophobia or whatever. There's like a few other, they're all good, except this one. But it kind of, I don't know, broke
this was
whatever.
Kind of like them, like, I felt like this was like voters, like almost like patting themselves on the back.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Because a lot of them live in LA.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, yeah, see, we're not so bad. We're good people. We mean well. You know, yay us is kind of how it felt to me.
But it's like one infuriating scene after the other. People aren't just racist. They're like super racist to another person, to the point where you would probably get your ass beat for saying the things you say, and there's no consequences. I feel so bad. Michael Pena, he's going to the Persian guy's hardware store, and he broke the man's door locked. And Margo, my co-host for Book versus Movie, she's in her side business. She works in decorating, home decorating, and she always says to me, Persian people are the best negotiators because they just love to negotiate. I mean, it's a stereotype, but she says it's like fun for them. But this Persian guy is like, he's told, I'll fix your lock, but you need to get a new door. Mm-hmm. And he says it very nicely and explains to him. And the Persian man's like, fuck you, I'm not paying for that. And like screaming in his face. And he's being very patient, like, no, sir, I'm not ripping you off. You have to understand, blah, 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 blah. And the dumb fuck like just screams and yells. So he walks out, and then his store gets broken into. And then he's going to take a gun and shoot the guy who told him to do the right thing?
So I wrote about this in my notes because I don't understand what we're seeing here. So The Persian gentleman is awful.
Yes.
His name is Sean Tube. I think I pronounced that correctly. That's the actor's name. He's awful to Michael Pena.
Yes.
He calls him a bunch of names, insults him, all these things. Michael Pena's like, hey, fuck you. Like, I'm not even going to charge you. I'm out of here. So he tells him, fix the door and your lock will work. He doesn't fix the door.
I will not get as angry as you. I'm not going to engage in this shit. I'm just going to retreat.
He's like the nicest character in the movie.
The only one.
Yeah. So
that behaves normally.
Of course, then somebody breaks into this man's shop and destroys it, and insurance won't cover it because he didn't fix the door. So then this guy takes a gun and he's like, I'm going to kill the guy who told me to fix the door, and I didn't. It doesn't make sense to me. And then, so he shows up at his house and he's like, I'm going to kill you. And he pulls the trigger, but there's blanks in the gun. There's like a whole other thing going on too with Michael Pena's daughter who thinks she's wearing like a cape that will protect you. It's impenetrable, all that. And she like jumps on Michael Pena and all this stuff to protect him. It's very tense scene if you think maybe he actually has bullets. But he doesn't. He has blanks. And he's like, what have I done? Even though he hasn't done anything. And runs off, and Michael Pena and his daughter like run into the house, and they don't call the police. This man tried to murder you. He showed up at your house and he pointed a gun at you. And even though there were blanks, dude pulled the trigger. And then the man goes back to his shop and is like, I can't believe what I don't feel sorry for you. Like,
no, you're an asshole.
You are someone who was going to murder someone
over your own fault.
Yes.
Because you didn't listen to him.
But then, as you establish, like, maybe the only police in LA are Matt Dillon and Ryan Phillippe. So maybe that's why they didn't call the police.
And there's a whole thing, like, Ryan Phillippe is like, I have a problem with this guy. He doesn't say he sexually assaulted a woman. And maybe they would have shrugged their shoulders and said, so the fuck what? Because this is the world we live in. But Keith David's just like, yep, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm a black man, implicit in all this as well. It's and you're supposed to say, oh my God, where do we go? It's so offensive. And by the way, a blank can kill a person. Shooting a blank at someone could absolutely really hurt them.
Isn't that what happened to Brandon Lee?
It was it was Brandon Lee, and also the guy John Eric Hexum. There was that show. It was in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Remember him?
Yes.
Yeah, look that up, you guys. Wikipedia. Yeah, that could fucking kill a person. So what was that all about?
Yeah. So then, like, when the guy goes back to his shop and is like crying, and his daughter shows up, and he's like, I tried to kill someone with this, and he just says that the girl, the little daughter with her invisible cape, was his angel, and that's why he pulled the trigger and nothing happened. I'm like, or maybe they're blanks. Like, I love that he's like, oh no, it wouldn't be blanks. Clearly that girl's invisible cape is working.
It's okay. Then let's also get into, so it opens with Ludacris and Larenz Tate. They're two African American gentlemen having dinner. It's close to Christmas time. We know this because It's a Wonderful Life is playing, on a screen. We could, like a billboard we can see, or a movie.
It's a Christmas movie. You don't watch it every Christmas?
Movie, by the way.
You don't watch it every Christmas? I do. I love this movie. Watch it every Christmas.
Right after Elf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me thankful that I don't have to watch it any other time of the year.
So they walk out of a restaurant and they have this conversation, which is overwritten about, hey, they made us wait a long time. It's because we're black. And his friend's like, no, it's not because we're black. And they're going back and forth and back and forth. And then Sandra Bullock is yelling at her husband about Brendan Fraser about, oh, you're talking on the phone too much. And he gives her the battery, and then she puts the battery in a purse. And then Ludacris is like, hey, she pulled the purse closer because we're black. And Larenz Tate's like, no, that's not it. Sandra Bullock and Brendan Fraser get in a car, and what does Ludacris do? He and his friend fucking rob them, because it turns out they are bad people. So
yeah, of course they are.
What was that all about? And then Sandra Bullock blames Brendan Fraser, and then she blames her maid, her Latin American maid because she doesn't feel safe in the world. And
Right.
it's Sandra Bullock. And I mean, what the fuck were you thinking when you took this part?
Here's
It's
the
awful.
What were they thinking, any of them? So this
Yeah.
project came together because like Don Cheadle basically came on as a producer, and then all these other actors signed on, and they waived like their big fees because they thought this is a really good script and I need to like work for scale to be a part of it.
I think it's just so vulgar that people are like, this is telling the truth. You know what I mean?
I'm like, is this the truth? Because it's not my truth, that's for sure.
It's like when you watch a reality show and somebody on there is like super obnoxious, but they put their hands up and say, I'm not here to make friends and I just say what's on my mind. It's like, well, that doesn't make you good or telling the truth. Like,
You're an asshole.
it means you're an asshole and a creep.
So
and it doesn't give you credence for me. And it's the same thing here.
Sandra Bullock, of course, is awful to Michael Pena because everyone's awful to him. Poor man.
Yes.
But I do love the part where she's on the phone with her friend and she's like, I'm angry all the time. And I don't know why. And then her friend's like, yeah, I gotta go. Basically, like we don't hear it. And then, Sandra Bullock's like, yeah, okay, well, call me back. And I'm like, nice friend.
Well, I mean, and as her friend, I mean, get some goddamn therapy if that's your problem. But then, I mean, this is hard for me because, you know me, I fell down a flight of stairs and hurt myself.
I know.
She falls down a flight of stairs and the phone's away.
Did it give you like post-traumatic stress?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. And then she's in a pile at the end of the floor. I'm like, oh God, what did she break? Because no, broke nothing. Like she's in her bed. Like she calls her husband. Hey, can you come home? And Brendan Fraser was supposed to think is kind of a jerk, but I don't know. He's
like a political jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he's like a jerk to his wife or anything, but he's like
he seems like he likes her.
He's like a political asshole.
He is. I mean, is he cheating on her or anything? Like, I don't know. He seems to give her a nice life. She doesn't have to work for a good living, does she? She has no kids.
He's racist.
Has no kids.
Sure.
I'm not going to speak tonight. Excuse me. She doesn't have children she's looking after. Like, what is her day like?
Well, they have kids. We just never see them.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay. Well,
because the maid's like taking them to school and stuff because the maid's her best friend. She finds out at the end. All she had to do was save her life.
Doesn't that like the same thing with Driving Miss Daisy?
Yeah.
When she turns to you're my best friend.
Yes.
And by the way, back to Margo, who saw this in San Diego, it was a play, Driving Miss Daisy. And she said she saw it as a little kid. It played in her town, San Diego. It opened up there before it went to Broadway. And she says, Driving Miss Daisy, when she says, you're my best friend, it's like an oh fuck moment. Because it's like, oh my God, I don't have any friends. I have to pay you to hang out with me because I'm so awful. And Sandra Bullock has the same thing. And it's the same thing. Like, we're supposed to be like, oh, she has a best friend and it's her maid.
She just pays her to be your best friend.
Yeah. I'm like, you should have a ton of friends. What's wrong with you? You're good looking. You're thin. Your husband has a cool job. Like, what's going on? I don't know. I'm very shallow maybe. But
no, you're not.
It's just dumb. It just didn't ring true to me.
No.
Matt Dillon is just was Matt Dillon nominated for this?
I don't think anyone in this movie was nominated for an Oscar. I think it was just let me look here. I wrote it down. I know it was writing, which I can't believe. So it was nominated for 6 awards and it won Best Picture, Original Screenplay, and Editing.
And editing?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sakes.
What else was it not? It was, I don't know what else it was nominated
for.
Poor
Lorette Devine, by the way.
I know.
What is her name? Shaniqua Johnson.
Yeah. She's in there for like 2 scenes to be like abused by Matt Dillon and then tell him to get the fuck out.
And then turn racist at the end to yell at an Asian American person.
Because she's racist too. She's racist.
And Ludacris. So at the end, he steals a van and it's filled with Thai people.
Yes.
And then he goes to the racist car shop where the guy's like, oh, we steal cars and people.
Yeah.
Oh, I see people. I'll give you $500 for every woman in here. Just give this to me. And we're supposed to think Ludacris is kind of awesome because he just drops them off in
he does give them all the money in his pocket and like
$40.
Yeah, or whatever. But there's actually
where are they sleeping that night?
Yeah, on the street. There's actually a scene earlier in the movie where Ludacris and Larenz Tate have stolen Sandra Bullock and Brendan Fraser's car, and they're like driving it around, and they hit an Asian man who is then trapped under his car. We almost forgot this because there's so much bullshit in this movie that this bullshit scene didn't even stand out. So this man is trapped under their car, and it's almost played for laughs. Like,
it is played for laughs.
They have a man stuck under their car. Isn't that hilarious? It is so funny.
And they say Chinaman.
Yeah, they kept referring to him as a Chinaman, and then they basically just drop him off at the hospital and like run off
and get away with it.
Yeah, and then take the car to the chop shop or whatever, and the guy's like, I can't take this car because it's got blood all over it, and don't you watch identity television and blah blah blah. And then later we find out that this Asian man is a human trafficker, so he's awful too. Everyone's awful.
And then Ryan Phillippe picks up Larenz Tate, who's hitchhiking. Mm-hmm. And we all know from the 70s, you don't hitchhike.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, white girl or whatever, you're going to get killed. But so Ryan Phillippe, and they have this stupid, dumb conversation in the car. Hey, you going to the valley or whatever. And then Larenz Tate is taking something out of his wallet or
out of his pocket, yeah.
It's a saint, saint whatever, that's for safety and whatever. I'm sorry, I'm bad Catholic. But he's taking that out, and Ryan Phillippe, of course, blows his head off in the middle in his car, and then throws him out to the side of the road and then drives off because he's a terrible person too.
Yes. He was all like, I'm not racist. Oh, no, he's horribly racist too. And then it turns out Larenz Tate is Don Cheadle's brother. God,
I missed that. Okay.
So what a coincidence.
Are you fucking kidding? And then Don Cheadle, the whole thing is that he has a mother that's kind of crazy.
And she's like strung out, right? She's heroin.
Strung out on drugs, and she's got a lot of problems. And Don Cheadle, at one point, he goes to his mother's house and he puts her into her bed. She's strung out, and he brings groceries. And of course, they're all Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Because he's a fancy black man, like we're supposed to think. This movie offends me so much. He's so fancy. So he puts all these groceries in her fridge. The brother dies. Don Cheadle throws the mother, the body at the morgue, and the mother freaks out. And then she looks at Don Cheadle and says, "You go away now. I don't need you anymore. I had a son. He brought me groceries." I'm like, you think that kid brought you Whole Foods? Like. I'm sorry. This movie made me crazy. When I was supposed to feel things, I was angry.
Yeah.
And when I was supposed to be angry, I was laughing because I'm just like, it's absurd. Everyone's an asshole.
Everyone is an asshole. That's what this movie could have been called. Everyone's an asshole. It's just everyone. I tried to think of something good about this movie, and the truth is, I got nothing. Nothing.
The music's bad.
I was like, the only thing good about it is there's a lot of good people in this movie.
I like the people in it, and then I look at them like, oh, I remember a movie that you're good in. Yeah. Like Sandra Bullock. I love Speed. Can I think about that for 5 minutes? When you're on screen?
I'd much rather watch Speed. I'd much rather watch Speed 2.
Made me spit up my wine.
No, that's crazy. So, I mean, because not only is this not a good movie, it's boring. It's so boring. It's not even watchably bad.
It's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Yes.
It's intellectually vapid. It's trite. It's white male bullshit all over the place that they're supposed to think like, he's a cool white guy because he uses the N-word. He's a cool white guy because he calls Asian people this. Yeah. He's a cool white guy because he has, Latino people yelling at the Asian people. Yeah, it's bullshit. You're a dumb Scientologist who just like,
it's
like I said.
It's like that scene in Do the Right Thing where the camera kind of pans around the neighborhood and all the different races are insulting each other. It's like that scene, but he made like a 2-hour version of it.
And with no wit.
With no wit, no irony, no insight. Right. No insight into anything. It's just it's just a bullshit movie from beginning to end. And I was like, I can't believe that Hollywood hasn't made a sequel.
It was a TV series. Did you hear about that?
No.
It was a TV series on the Stars network, and Harvey Keitel was the star until he died, or someone was. It was Harvey Keitel or somebody until they died.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like, it can't be Harvey Keitel. He's not dead.
Sorry, I have a Harvey Keitel story. No, he's alive. Dennis Hopper until he died.
Oh, there you go. I don't remember this.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have watched it.
No.
I did think, though, if they made a sequel, they could just call it Crash 2, T-O-O, and they could get, like, Liam Neeson and Mel Gibson.
I said the sequel should be Crashed.
Crashed. Even more crashed.
Even more crashed than crashed.
Crashers.
I mean, there's just, I don't understand. And it's just because Paul Haggis had this small budget and got all these people, and it was at that time, it was waning at this time, but there was a while, you just said independent movie, and everybody jumped on it. They wanted in on it because it had this shine to it, this sheen to it, that it was smarter. It wasn't run by a machine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
this isn't filmmaking by committee. This is like a writer, director. He's got a voice and something he's trying to say, and what he's trying to say is, everybody's racist.
And it's like, sometimes you do need a machine. Sometimes you do need that one person with their red pen to go, I'd like to actually talk about this, this, and this. Can you just justify this for me storytelling wise? And everybody needs it. Everybody needs it.
Everyone needs an editor.
Yes.
So this movie's been coming up a lot lately because of Green Book, and you and I have mentioned it a few times because we talk about Green Book and that turns into Driving Miss Daisy. And then I was trying to think of other like recent movies that won, because the truth is, like, I could go through every year of the Academy Awards and probably pick a different movie that I thought should have been nominated or a movie that I think should have won.
Right.
But I feel like Crash is like an especially like terrible example of like, or a really obvious example of Hollywood just playing it super safe. And
if you guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
I was just going to say, like, if you want evidence of this, just how stupid this was to win, go to YouTube. The Oscars, the Academy Awards, everything's on YouTube now. They've got very smart. They put all of their shows on there. You can go back to the 60s and see that crazy shit. But they have, it's Jack Nicholson presented the award, and he thought he was going to say Brokeback Mountain. Everybody thought it. And then he looks at it and goes, Crash. And I love this because somebody wrote, the normally unflappable flapped because he turned to the side like, what?
There are just a million articles that you can read too that kind of run down Best Picture winners throughout the years. And, you know, I think that most people would cite Crash as like one of the worst Best Picture winners. I mean, Driving Miss Daisy is a good example. I didn't like A Beautiful Mind. Everyone loved that one. Yeah.
I didn't like that either. You know, Margo and I go back and forth about wanting to do that movie for our show. I mean, that's also what I have problems with. But I find it watchable. I don't find this watchable. This movie makes me angry when I watch it. It's so stupid.
A Beautiful Mind didn't make me angry, but it made me like, I just didn't think it was that good. And I also thought it was like love cures mental illness, which it
doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And there's some lies that are in that. It's not truthful storytelling, but I think it's decent storytelling, and I think it's great performances.
For sure.
That's not going on here. This is indefensible to me. Anybody it's indefensible. I think you are really stupid if you like this movie. I will tell you right now. So don't tell me you like it.
I think it's just one of those movies like A Driving Miss Daisy, like Green Book, that is made for like a certain kind of audience that, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good way to put this.
It's like they don't want an easy answer. It's not like they're looking for that, but they think they're looking at a tough issue at a tough way, coming with a simple answer, and it's not that at all.
Yeah. It's
all simplistic, and it pretends it's saying something complicated, and it's not.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
It's yeah, not my favorite. And I go through this every year because I want the Oscars so bad to be like a real time capsule of what were the best movies, and maybe some sort of forethought into like how the movies are going to hold up, so that we
Right.
can go back like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, however many years and be like, yeah, that movie was of its time. We fucking love that movie. Everyone was talking about it, and that movie was the shit. And like Crash is not that. And the truth is, the Academy Awards just aren't that. Like, I want it to be that, but it's never that. And it's especially not that this year.
No, did you hear all the categories they're going to do? They just announced doing the commercials, cinematography,
Yeah.
editing.
So
They have to put all the songs, which nobody knows the songs except the one movie, A Star Is Born.
right.
But we can't look at the cinematographer. Like, I think that's an important job.
Yeah. So I was ranting about this earlier to my husband.
Okay.
God bless him. Where I was like, first of all, I've watched the Academy Awards since I was a little kid. I love seeing all the categories. I
Yeah.
think that shit is interesting. I care. That's why I watch the Oscars, because I love movies. And the idea that they would then give out the award for something like cinematography during a fucking commercial break. It's like, yeah, film lovers, they don't care about cinematography. Like, that's a good one to give out during a commercial break. It's just bullshit. And then there's this idea of like, oh, everyone's going to get 90 seconds. Everyone's going to get 90 seconds to like, from the time their name is announced to get up on stage and say their speech. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because actors,
That's total bullshit.
you know, actors are going to get longer. So then like, you know, the person who wins live action animate or wins animated short or whatever isn't the commoners. You're going to need to keep it to 90 seconds. But like the directors and actors, they're not. It's just bullshit. I'm like, just give out the fucking awards, and who cares?
I think, for years it was on Monday night, like as far as what my memory serves. Then they moved it to Sunday night.
Right.
And it's like, why don't they move it to Friday or Saturday night, air it earlier, so people can go home, and then have it long and stupid and whatever. But everybody's home. Everyone can get it. You don't have to get a sitter or anything. You don't have to miss any work. I mean, the entertainment journalists would have to work harder, but why not have it on Saturday night and start at like 6 or 7, and then just have like a big, messy, long, whatever.
Right.
And why does it have to be? They're like, we have to make it 3 hours on a Monday night or whatever, and it's like, just do it the night before.
By the way,
And
no one makes these fucking changes for the Super Bowl. That shit goes on all fucking day.
yeah,
I'm like, who cares? Like,
who cares?
I tweeted this out, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself to people who follow me on Twitter, but like, this is the year where like the Academy made it really obvious that they don't care anymore about cinematic
ABC doesn't give a
achievement.
shit.
They don't care about cinematic achievement. They don't care about like, the art of filmmaking anymore. It's what they care about is celebrities getting their awards and TV ratings. That's what they care about. And that's a fucking bummer to me as someone who's dorked out about the Academy Awards for as long as I can remember. So
I think
super
it's a
bummer.
big mistake.
I think
It's
so
a big
too.
mistake.
And
Yeah, I
maybe
hope
they'll
next year
fix
be
it
able to get
next
it together.
year. I
Yeah.
hope so. Total bummer.
Make it Saturday night, and then start it at like 6 or 7 p.m. Have it run a little long. Everybody can, you know what I mean? Like, everybody can see it then. Everybody can get their rest. The entertainment journalists have to work a day early. Who gives a shit?
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? You get more stars that can attend it. You can do more stuff in the afternoon before it. Like, you know what I mean? Why does it have to? They're just the ABC is really struggling. Let's make this exactly 3 hours and not too long, and then no hosts and all this during the commercials, and it's so offensive to me. It's just that wasn't the problem. I want to see the cinematographer. I want to see the costumes. I want to see the editor.
Yeah.
Like those are important jobs.
I'm like, if you're looking to trim the show, how about some of your stupid like fucking montages that you do? That in memoriam is great. We all love that.
In Memoriam's awesome.
We want to pay our respects, that sort of thing. But like, I don't need like a whole like comedy routine at the beginning. I don't need like Ellen ordering pizza for people in the middle. Like, I don't need those things. You could cut those things and just give out awards. I take my Oscars very seriously. I have an Oscar party every year. We have Oscar-themed food. We fill out ballots for every category. There's prizes. This is going to ruin my party, and I am mad.
But have a party on a Saturday night. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be way better because I drink too much. I drink too much at my Oscar party every year.
Everybody does.
Every year I drink too much at the Oscar party, and every Monday morning I am hungover.
More people would have Oscar-themed parties.
Mm-hmm.
They could have it longer. And then, people go to church. You just go to the later mass. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
I think I solved it.
You did. You fixed it. You're welcome, everybody. We have fixed it.
My cat just walked over as I said that. She's so proud of me.
She knows what's up.
He knows what's up.
So I wrote down some other 2005 movies.
Please.
A lot of these were really good. Maybe they should have been nominated. Sin City, The Upside of Anger, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Okay, maybe not everything needs to be nominated. Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So that's the start of Brangelina right there.
I remember that. Batman
Begins, War of the Worlds, Wedding Crashers, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, March of the Penguins. I love that one. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Capote, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Good Night and Good Luck, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. See, when we get into movies that are in the 2000s, we can start gauging them by which Harry Potter movie. Walk the Line, Pride and Prejudice, King Kong, and Munich. There's some good movies in that list.
There's a few good ones in that list. They're all better than Crash.
I would watch any of these before I'd watch Crash.
I'll watch Wedding Crashers again before I watch Crash.
Fact. Same.
Fact.
Anything else you're dorking out about, Margo?
I got a couple of things. We have fans, by the way, and they reached out to us on Twitter and on their show, and it's Fun Size Happy Hour, and it's Binksy and Evan, and it's this couple that lives in Melbourne, Australia. And they put out a show usually every Sunday morning here in the States. It's part of my coffee routine on Sunday mornings. I have coffee and I listen to them. And they just talk about what they did that week and the stuff they're watching on Netflix. And they're really into wrestling. And they love our show.
Aww.
And they got together and had a date night, a movie night. And they watched St. Elmo's Fire.
Why? Do they not love each other?
They love each other. They hate watched it in our honor. And they had drinks and they had snacks and they had so much fun. And they were just talking about us on their latest episode, Fun Size Happy Hour. And I honestly am saying this. This is a part of my routine every Sunday morning. I just love them. They're really sweet. And it was so funny because in their episode, they were talking about something and someone said adorable. And he goes, oh, take a drink.
That's our thing. That's the drinking
That's our thing. That's our drinking game.
Well, that's really sweet. Everyone should go and download. Sorry, I'm drinking beer, everyone. Download.
Yeah, me too.
Fun Size Happy Hour.
Fun Size Happy Hour. And the other thing I'm dorking out about, and I sent you the link on Twitter. Alan Alda has a podcast.
Oh my God, this is the cutest thing ever.
National treasure, Alan Alda. And it's called Clear and Vivid. And it's all about communication. And he played Hawkeye Pierce on MASH. Both my parents, their favorite show was MASH. When I was growing up, we watched
so much MASH.
We watched the living shit out of MASH when I was growing up. It was on syndicated. It was whatever it was on CBS, my parents watched it. And so he has a new show, Clear and Vivid, and he had on a bunch of cast members from MASH on his latest episode. And his show is about communication. And the whole point of the show was like, as actors, back then in the 70s when they made the show, people didn't have cell phones or anything. So when they were sitting around, they would just talk to each other. And they would talk about the scene, they would talk about the writing, they would talk about the characters. And that's what made the show kind of great because they looked like they were best friends. They looked like they really got along. These people love each other so much. You could just hear it in them. It's so sweet. But there's one clip in particular. It's at Alan Alda on Twitter where he shows his friend Mike Farrell how to subscribe to podcasts. And it's Alan Alda's wife of like 50 years, 60 years,
Right.
holding up the phone. And Alan Alda's just patiently explaining, how do you go to iTunes, how you look up a podcast, how do you subscribe to Mike Farrell. It's one of the sweetest things I've ever seen in my life.
It is so cute. And for those who don't know, Mike Farrell played BJ Honeycutt on MASH.
Yes.
And so they're old friends. And it was just so cute. I'm a huge Alan Alda fan. I love Alan
Me
Alda.
too.
And I watched MASH all the time, and I loved him when he was on The West Wing. I was like, I would vote for that guy to be president. And he just won the SAG Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes, he did.
I didn't watch the SAG Awards because I just didn't, but I actually tuned in just to watch his part. And
it was incredible.
And then I closed it because I was like, that's the only. I wanted to see all the clips of Alan Alda movies and TV shows, basically. And then I was like, I'm good. Bye. Click. Just close the computer.
He and his daughter run a nonprofit, and it's the Alda Foundation. What they do is they open themselves up to scientists, and they help scientists give their message to lay people so that everybody can understand what they're trying to say, so that they don't get intimidated by the language. That's what he does.
That's rad.
Isn't that rad? Is that like the raddest thing you've ever heard in your life?
He's awesome.
And he's awesome. So those are the things I'm dorking out about this week.
And one of the things I love about him getting that award and you bringing him up right now is I have this thing where I don't think we appreciate people when we should. Like, we wait until they die, and then we're like, oh, I love Prince's music, or I love Carrie Fisher. And I'm like, we should be like appreciating these people now. And let them know. And I think Alan Alda is one of those people. Like, we should all be like fucking tweeting to him and telling him all the time, you're awesome. We love you. Your movies, your TV shows meant a lot to me. And I go through this all the time with my sister when I talk about Stevie Wonder. I was like, we should all be worshiping Stevie Wonder right now.
Well, he's at Alan Alda on Twitter, and he's very responsive. He likes Twitter. It's a fun social media thing for him. So, and definitely download his podcast and support him, because he's a national treasure.
He is.
You know, what else is there to say?
That's right. So one of the things I have something I want to plug, which is my husband and I are guesting on another podcast called Storied SF that will be, I think part 2 will be out by the time this episode comes out. It was kind of their special like Valentine's Day episode.
Oh my.
The host interviewed my husband and I at a brewery here in San Francisco, and we just told some stories about, like, you know, what it's like to live in the city, how we met, where we went on our first dates, how the city has changed since we've been here, what it's like to like raise an autistic son in San Francisco, things like that. And I think it's going to be 2 parts, and I'm really excited and nervous because I don't have any control over someone else's podcast.
I know, you can't edit it.
So I hope it sounds good. And, you know, I was drinking beer, so I hope it's not too slurry. And I'm really excited about it. And it's called Storied SF. And I think that's enough. I don't need to like talk about how much I love The Haunting of Hill House, which is I just finished, but I think
which is also awesome.
Which I don't remember if I talked about that last week, but we just finished it. It's super great. It's creepy. It's interesting. There's a lot to like dig into there if you are like one of those people that likes to go in and like research things after you watch them and like read lots of like think pieces. There's a lot of that stuff. And we rewatched 1961's The Haunting afterwards, which we watch every year around Halloween anyway, but it was fun to like revisit and see the parallels and see how they connect up, kind of not connect because they're not in the same universe, but like how they took that as an inspiration. But
it's adjacent.
It's Haunting of Hill House adjacent.
Yeah. And it's also a book versus movie episode, by the way. Margo and I talked about it. Yeah. So go look for that.
Yeah, go look for that, because I actually have never read the story, but my husband did, and he loves it, and he wants to reread it now that we've kind of gotten on this Hill House obsession.
It's really good.
All right. And you can, where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
The best thing to do on social media is to follow me at Brooklyn Fit Chick. And best places are Twitter and Instagram. And I have a blog, brooklynfitchick.com, and all the shows I work on, I put on there. And my other shows are the Best Neighbors podcast, Book versus Movie, Not Fade Away, and the Fit Bottom Girls podcast.
And everyone should download those and listen because they're great.
Yes, please.
And you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter. That's Sonia with an I, and at thesoniashow.com. And this is good news. You can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com. What?
Woo!
So you could still type in Dorking Out Show if you really want to. We're going to hold on to that for a while. But it's also dorkingout.com. And you can find us on Twitter at Dorking Out Show because Dorking Out is taken, and on Facebook at Dorking Out Show. And this was super fun as always. And I'm really glad that we made it through Crash.
I'm really excited about our next movie, but we'll hold on to it to you guys until it drops into your feed.
Yes.
Because I think you're going to be really happy because I think we're going to have a really fun time enjoying the next movie that we're going to watch.
Yes. And I'm really glad we did this because I know that I just wanted to feel something.
Anger? Disappointment? Ugh.